Hello, my name is Cara Watts, and I am a mental health therapist, well, a licensed mental health therapist at the 253 Therapy and Consult. And this is a presentation on mindfulness and self-care. So mindfulness is paying attention to what is happening in the present moment, in the mind, your body, and the external environment, with an attitude of kindness and curiosity. So, what is wellness in the sense of like, what are we looking for when we're saying mindfulness, right? Awareness and acceptance, two major factors of mindfulness. In awareness, we're trying to notice our own thoughts, feelings, and sensations that are happening in our body. There's a lot of times that we're not really connected to what's going on in our body because we're trying to get through our day. We have a lot going on. Sometimes our minds are wandering. We're not really focusing on our thoughts. And so part of the mindfulness practice is to really be present within your thoughts and your feelings and your body. And then there's acceptance, noticing your experience without judging or trying to change it. A lot of times we judge ourselves. We're like, why do I think that? Why do I feel that? Why is that happening to my body? And it's not always coming out in, love and curiosity and attention. A lot of times it comes in judgment. So part of the mindful practice is to not judge those things and to hold them in the present with kindness. The benefits: decreased depression and anxiety, improved memory and focus, improved resilience to stress, greater satisfaction in relationships, less overthinking or obsessing, improved ability to manage stress. I think all of those benefits are really important for all of us, especially if you have a very taxing job. How to practice mindfulness. So we're going to go over four different practices. There's many other ones, but these are just a couple that I think would really be beneficial for everyone to get into a practice for. So we have mindfulness meditation, mindfulness walk, body scan, and the five senses. Starting with our mindfulness meditation, the purpose is to pay attention to the present moment without judgment, making sure that you're able to be one again with your body and your mind and your thoughts, and to kind of press pause, right? And so generally we would say this would be a good practice to do every day. And we know that as therapists, a lot of our clients come in and a lot of people struggle with time management and knowing where to place this. And because you have busy lives and you're working, but we do say that this would be very helpful if you did aim to practice it daily. And obviously start small, right? So we're looking at 15 to 30 minutes. I would tell you like start with five, but work your way up to 15 to 30, and that would be the best practice to aim for. Posture. So some people choose to sit in a chair or they choose to lay on the floor. Obviously, with either option, make sure that you're feeling supported and that you're not in a position that's going to cause any damage. So straightening your back, um, but not to the point where you're stiff. So like straight and shoulders back and your arms loose on your side and your head forward and your chin up. But or you can gaze at your feet. Whatever is the most comfortable for you, depending on what your body is telling you is okay. If you're in the chair, make sure your feet are flat. Um, if you're on the floor, you can cross your legs. Sometimes I say don't need to cross your legs. It really depends on your comfort, right? Make sure your arms are naturally falling. You don't want to be up like this. You definitely want them to be rested and relaxed to the side. If your pose becomes uncomfortable, feel free to take a break or adjust because, again, this is supposed to be something that's bringing awareness without judgment and getting you aligned and focused, not something that's going to cause more pain and discomfort. So Another part of this mindfulness meditation is awareness of breathing. Breathing is very big in meditation. It's also really great to lower your blood pressure. It's been told that if you can get 3 really good deep breaths, that they already start to lower your blood pressure significantly. And so when we're dealing with high levels of anxiety, when we're dealing with anger, really extreme emotions, our blood pressure usually goes up and spikes. And so awareness of breathing is really essential. And it also helps us like get our minds and our bodies aligned together in the present. So making sure that we're doing that is very, very important. And then, of course, if you're like me, meditation's pretty hard because my mind's going, what do I need to do for breakfast? What I need to do my laundry for. But that is part of the practice of mindfulness is that we know it is told that your brain is going to keep trying to go to all these other things. It's okay for that to happen. And so to just gently remind yourself, like, okay, let's bring it back. And a lot of times breath can help with that. A lot of times just gently like leading yourself back to the present is the best of just being like, okay, yes, the fleeting thought. Let's come back to what we're doing. But that's just a normal part of the meditation. Instead of something to get angry or stressed or annoyed with. And the hope is the more you practice this, the less your brain will wander over time. So the next one is mindfulness walk. This is my favorite. So it's basically taking the traits of the mindfulness meditation, but also including it with walking and also including it with the five senses. So you're kind of bringing a lot of the skills together. So basically, it's what it says. Like you're going to walk and you're going to focus on the awareness of what's going on in your body, what's happening around you, how what you're hearing, what you're seeing, what you're smelling, what you're feeling. And again, this could be another option to put in your daily practice. And the walk doesn't have to be super long. It also has to be within the context that you're capable of doing and what feels good for your body. So whether that's between 15 and 30 minutes, maybe to begin with, you can only do about 10 minutes, that's okay. But it's all about getting aligned. And the walk isn't supposed to be super quick or super about like getting your heart rate up. It's just so that you're kind of within nature and out in the world and just kind of you know, taking in what's around you and how that's feeling within you. So definitely would recommend parks or someplace that you feel aligns with you. I personally like waterfronts, so anything on the water or by the water is really nice, especially like if you're on a beach. But not all of us live by the beach, so definitely finding something that brings in that meditation aspect for you. Body scan is a really good mindfulness activity because a lot of times we don't really stay in alignment mentally with our bodies. Again, because we're busy and we've got a lot of things going on. And then by the time we notice something, it's usually like there's an extreme, there's like extreme pressure, extreme pain or something. So this is a good, practice to get into just to like get in alignment with your body because your body will tell you that, oh, maybe I didn't realize my shoulders were so tight and I'm holding tension. I didn't realize I'm clenching my jaw or that I'm clenching my hands. And so body scans and getting in the practice of doing it can help you continuously be more aware of your body. So during the body scan exercise, you will pay close attention to the physical sensations throughout your body. The goal isn't to change or relax your body, but instead to notice and become more aware of it. Don't worry too much about how long you practice, but do move slowly. Begin by paying attention to the sensations in your feet, and then you're going to work your way up and see like, is it cool? Is it warm? Is there pressure? Is there pain? Is there a breeze? Is there an itch? And then slowly move up your body to your calves, your thighs, your stomach, your chest, your back. your shoulders, all the parts, all the way till we get to the tippy tops of our head. And it shouldn't be like we're doing it super quickly. We're just taking that time and we're like really scanning, like, how does my feet feel? How does my calf feel? And it's also a really good grounding technique. We use the term grounding in a sense of like getting yourself in the present so that, let's say you just went, like, let's just say you just had like a really stressful experience at work, or maybe there was a kid or a parent that was really like coming at you pretty difficultly, and you're like, you need to just kind of like ground yourself. This would also be a good chance, and also to check in with your body to see how is my body doing right now. And you might find that you're clenching or holding pressure somewhere. And so that's the whole point of that and how you can use that in real time. Spend some time on each of these parts. Like I said, after you travel up your body, begin to move back down through each body part. So you're going to go up slowly and taking time, and then you're going to go back down, so foot to head and then head to foot. And again, remember to move slowly and pay attention. You can take deep breaths. You can kind of combine the deep breaths with um, the breathing and concentrating on breathing and concentrating on your body. But you don't need to do that all at once in the beginning when you're trying this exercise. But you can add that to that if that's something that you feel would be helpful for you. And then the last one is the five senses. So we kind of talked a little bit about it in the mindfulness walking, but really what it is trying to get aligned with what you're seeing, feeling, hearing, smelling, and tasting. It's another good way to kind of ground yourself and get you back on track to be able to like be present and know what's going on, not only in your body, but like what's going on around you. This is really good for people who deal with a lot of anxiety or are in very high anxiety inducing spaces um, and chaos. So this could be good with kids. This could be good at your house. It could be good with your partner, anything, or when you're at the grocery store, because sometimes that could be a gauntlet. So it's a really good technique. So you're basically just going to ask yourself different questions for each category. And it goes 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's the best way to kind of remember like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Five is see. Kind of look around and can you see five things? Is there a pattern on the wall? Is there a light? What's on the surface? What's going on? So like listing five things I can see, right? And then four is like four things I can feel. How's my shoulders feeling? So you're kind of doing like a mini body scan, right? In four, and you're trying to list four things. What are three things you can hear? So is there cars going by? Is something chirping? Do I hear this annoying sound? Can I hear the air conditioning? Can I hear my cats meowing at me? Can I hear his laughing and crying? What is that you're hearing? What are two things you can smell? So like you smell coffee. Can you smell your laundry detergent from your outfit? And then one is like, what can you taste? Like, do you taste like did you take a drink of something? Sometimes, unfortunately, there are smells that you can also taste, good or bad. Just putting that out there in the world, that does happen. I have had those experiences myself, so that could definitely be something. Maybe you have gum, maybe you just had a really nice lunch and it has a lot of onions in it, and now you have onion breath. So, but so that's the senses, five senses. Self-care. So this is another part of kind of you can kind of incorporate mindfulness in activities and practices into self-care. It could be another form of self-care. So that's something I did want to say. And again, self-care should be practiced daily, especially with all the things that everyone's carrying, right? It's already hard to deal with the things of your personal life, but then on top of that, our second largest environment we go into is our work environment. So there's so much stresses and so many different dynamics and things going on there as well. So making sure that we're practicing self-care is major for making sure that we're getting not only alignment, but like that we're able to relax, that we're able to process, that we're able to find joy, that we're able to give ourselves individual space and investment, right? So making sure that you have like a self-care kit. Now, it could be something physical or a mix between physical and a list of things that you can do on the go. Like breathing exercises are a really good self-care kit. And some of those mindfulness things, you don't actually physically need something to do them, right? But other parts of self-care kit could be like, well, we'll look at some ideas, but there's in a little couple more slides, but I'll name a couple like a journal or like, a coloring book or something like that. And there's other things, but creating a kit is really essential too, because that's going to help you um, be able to pull out tools and obviously things that are not just things we can do when we're at home, right? Because that's like, okay, we're at home, but things that we can do when we're on the go because we're busy people. You're out there living your life, you're working, you're spending time. So things that maybe are accessible from your car or things that are accessible at work. And also bringing in some of those things that you don't need specific things for, but just more of you getting used to doing them. And sometimes some of those are going to be mixed. So sometimes, depending on the severity of what we're dealing with, and or like what's going on in that day that we need to like really reboot and get in our self-care moment, sometimes we're going to be mixing those different tools in our kit. So that's okay too because sometimes we're going to need more and sometimes we're going to need less, and sometimes different ones are going to do better than others with different things that have happened or how we're feeling that day. Don't put yourself last. I know this is a big one, especially for educators, for people who are really empathetic, for people who are parents, people who are significant others, and people who maybe are caring for any family members and people, and also in our friendships. There are a lot of times we put people in front of ourselves, especially if you're in a helping profession like educators. You put a lot of investment into others, and you forget to put that investment back into yourself. And so, kind of how I explain it to my clients is think about a cup, right? That whole thing, like make sure you fill your cup, right? But think if you're giving things out of your cup, then what's happening to your cup? Your cup's getting depleted. Like if you're not filling it back up, it's getting less and less and less and less and less until there's nothing in there. And then there's a busted hole at the bottom, and there's holes on the side, and you're out here wondering why you're feeling so icky because you haven't been refilling. And so don't putting yourself last is basically saying like put yourself first. Because every time that you're pouring into yourself, that's more that you can pour into someone else, right? And self-care is a really good way to keep pouring back into yourself while you're out there pouring in to your friends, to your family, to your significant other, and to your colleagues and to the kids that you're providing services to or whatever job that you're doing. Nourish your mind, body, and spirit. So in self-care, I always kind of explain to clients there's like I like to think of it as like three categories. Trying to find things to fill and relax and replenish and create joy in your mind and same with your body and then with your spirit, right? And so finding those kind of things and that those three things should be covered in your self-care kit of what you're pulling out for yourself. And that's why I said sometimes you're not going to need certain ones. So like if you need things for your body or for your mind, it'll be different at different times. And then most importantly, the most important, be kind to yourself. There is enough in this world. There's enough things in this world that beat us down or stress us out or create guilt and shame, unfortunately. And there's a lot of chaos and a lot of things going on that make us not feel so great. We should not be helping with that. We should not be helping ourselves feel really bad. There's a difference between holding yourself accountable and then beating yourself up, right? Holding myself accountable doesn't mean that I have to beat myself up. I can be like, well, that was really bad, but I can change it and I can move on from this and I can deal with the discomfort and I'll move through it and I can learn from this, right? So I can be kind to myself and still hold myself accountable and not give excuses, but I don't need to beat myself up for that. And that's something that's a major thing with self-care, but just a major thing in general to help you because there's again enough noise in this world telling every individual that they're something bad about themselves. We don't need to do that more to ourselves either. Okay, self-care tips. Like I said, do things you enjoy. Like if you're someone that's like, and just because we're an adult, we can still play. If anything, we need to play more as adults because we have to pay bills. We got to do a lot of stuff. So, we got a lot of things that are not always fun. So definitely do things that you enjoy, or maybe things that you forgot that you enjoy or you feel are really silly. So like finding things like reading a book or taking a vacation or like I said, coloring. Like I love to color and coloring is not good for kids. And it doesn't always have to be big, mandalas. It could be like those thick coloring books that are just easy peasy lemon squeezy for you to do. Take care of your health. Now, this is a huge one. And that means your whole health from head to toe. So, your mental health. Are you eating well? Are you eating regularly? Do you know what kind of foods fuel your body? Do you have a good relationship with food? Are you getting enough sleep? More than just getting enough sleep, do you have a circadian rhythm? Are you going to sleep at the same time? Are you waking up at the same time? Do you have a good routine, hygiene routine? That also can be very good self-care. I love when I wash my face, it makes me feel really great, and exercising and not like, oh, I have to go on the treadmill, but finding an exercise that actually is also fun, something that's interesting that you like to do, whether it's hiking or boxing. I mean, I love to box. There's Pilates, there's yoga, there's so many different things that you can do for physical activity that can definitely give you that exercise and be healthy for your body. And also making sure that you're exercising what's right for your body and being careful not to look at the stereotypical, things that they put out there, like, oh, everyone should be doing this and this and this, but really looking at like what targetedly like is for you specifically and go to experts and ask them for help, making sure that we're going to the doctor. I am not a good patient with the doctors either. It's not always that fun, but it is important to make sure that we're putting our health first because again, that's fueling our cup and then we're able to like keep pouring into other people, right? Give yourself permission to relax. Oh my goodness, please relax. Please. Life is so busy. It's got its ups and downs. It's throwing things at us, and sometimes a lot of things at once, never just one and then a break and then another. It's like sometimes we get it in threes and fours. And so it's just a lot. So making sure that you're setting boundaries. I love boundaries, making sure that you're getting that time. Remember, time is a boundary, is a category for a boundary. Your time, you can put boundaries around it. You can say, no, I'm doing my self-care, I'm doing these things, and it's okay to say no too. It's okay to say no. And not just no because I'm avoiding stuff, because I'm overwhelmed, but just like it's okay to say no. And yes, people might get, sad that you're not going, or they might get upset that you might not want to do this thing. But honestly, that's their emotions to deal with. And that's another boundary, remembering that you don't need to police or hold other people's um, processing of their emotions, right? And as long as you're doing it within the context of kindness and you're not coming out hot, like you can say no, and that other person should respect that, right? Because you might have had a busy week or you just might not want to do anything, and that's okay because it's your time. So you get to decide what you do with your time. Set specific and realistic self-care goals. Don't be super vague. Don't try to be like, I'm going to do everything under the sun that Cara just told me to do, and I'm going to do it all day one. Oh no, that's a recipe for anxiety and setting ourselves up for too much and a burnout, right? So you want to make sure that you start small. Because like I said, in the mindfulness activities, we say about 15, 30 minutes is great, but you can start with five, you can start with 10, you might start with like 1 day a week or 2 days a week or 3 days a week, and same with the self-care. Like when you're bringing things in, you want to try to gradually bring it in. You want to build a habit so it becomes part of your routine. And it's not like something that's like, oh my gosh, this is another thing I have to manage on top of all the other things that I'm managing, right? So making sure that we're doing it slowly and like being like, okay, I know, and part of us wants to be like, oh, overachievers are like, I'm an adult and I think I should be able to do this 7 days a week. But some of these things you haven't been doing, right? So it's like, why would I force myself to try to do them 7 days a week if I haven't been doing it at all? So trying to bring it in a little bit at a time so I can move my way up to my end goal is gonna build that positive reinforcement. It's also gonna not impact us so deeply that we're getting anxiety and stress from it, and also getting into a routine and then accelerating to the goal that we want. And then it'll stick instead of us, kind of falling off the bandwagon because we kind of thrust a whole bunch of expectation on us. So that's really important too. Self-care tips continued. Make self-care a habit. I know I just said that before, but make sure that it's a habit. And that's how, when you're making it gradually part of your routine, it becomes a habit. And then eventually, like, you get to the point where it's like, you're not even thinking about it, right? Like some of the activities we do, we get dressed. Sometimes for some people, they're not even thinking about it. I mean, you might stress about what you're wearing, but the fact that we have to get ready to go and I have to get dressed to go to the gym or to work, like that's not really, it's second nature of like, I just got to do it, right? And the other stuff, yeah, trying to figure out wardrobe and stuff, that's a different thing. But getting dressed isn't something that I have to overthink, with myself on. And so there's a lot of activities we do in our life that we don't have to overthink and just kind of do because they become a habit, because they become part of our routine. So we want to make sure that we're doing that as well. And then it diminishes stress of that. And we kind of we're not consciously worrying about it because it's part of our life now. Limit unhealthy self-care. So doom scrolling on our phone. I'm looking at everyone because I have done this with myself, is not a good self-care. I've had many people tell me, well, I get really tired. And I was like, yeah, because your brain's exhausted. Just been rapid fire information. And at some point your brain's like, I'm done. And that's why it's tired. But then it's like you might not be getting good sleep. You might be getting up in the middle of the night and you're wondering why you're really groggy the next day. Because that is not a way to go to bed. So making sure that we're able to turn off our brain, we're able to get some space, we're able to like do what we need to do, um, and get that self-care space for that stuff. But not anything that's like just gonna be like, I'm just kind of sitting in limbo land. It's something that's like, okay, I can turn off my anxiety brain, but I'm not sitting here mindlessly looking at stuff. So I have been part of the doom scroll on my Instagram. So I've done that too. And so one of the activities that I've done is put my Instagram on a modality that I have to actually get up and go out of my way to get it. So it's less likely for me to do that more often. So I have it on my computer. I'm not going to be lugging my computer around my house. I'm not doing all that. That's too much work. So I have to actually be mentally present to want to look at it, right? So things like that can help too, how we put that around. So some ideas for some self-care kits. Now, Amazon is your best friend. No, I'm just kidding. But there is a lot of options on Amazon. So making physical stuff like exercise? Are we staying hydrated? I've wanted to learn to roller skate. I think roller skating looks really fun. You can do these cool self-care trackers that they have. There's lots of different games, cards, books. There's lots of books on self-care. And then there's, candles. I know fall's coming up. I love this picture with the book and the fall leaf. I'm like so ready. I'm just like, give me the candle, give me some tea, give me a nice book. And then I put some reminders of here about journaling, boundaries, time management, leave work at work. That's a big one. A lot of times we carry that home because we don't really like give space for transition times, right? So transitions are a big deal, like the transition of getting ready, getting out of your house, going to actually driving to work, walking into work, and then the transition coming back. And a lot of times we don't use those times as strategic times to do self-care and grounding and some mindfulness techniques to help us like reestablish a mental and emotional boundaries with our work and our home and being able to kind of try not to bring them into each space, right? And that's something that professionals like myself, we have to practice like even more hard because we can't be bringing all of our things home. And so, because then it's just like it's never shutting off and you're never getting that relaxation. And obviously, positive affirmations are really important, making sure that we're talking to ourselves positively, that we're reminding ourselves of the best parts of us to fuel us because that's important. No one gets fueled by the negative stuff, right? We don't get fueled by that. It just makes us feel heavy and it doesn't help us in the long run. Making sure you're around a lot of wonderful people, making sure you have a good network, people that you can lean on, people that maybe also can participate in some of the self-care stuff with us, even our partners, even our kids. It doesn't always, making sure we're getting a balance with ourselves, but we can also do some other things with others too that can also help and bring and build community. And so that's really important when you're creating a self-care kit. So we're at the questions potion portion. Does anyone have any questions at this time? No? Okay. And again, my name is Carla. I am a licensed mental health counselor associate at 253 Therapy, and these are the insurances we cover. Feel free to reach out to us if you feel like, needing to speak to a therapist is one of those um, self-care kit items that you need for yourself. And if you need support, or if you know if anyone else needs support, we have plenty of therapists besides myself that are amazing.